My name is Michael Johnson. I am the founder and initiator of a website named Ideologi.org, and that's where you can find us. Let me make sure you get the spelling right. It's www.ideologi.org, I at the end. So our website is a system where any users can join and create brainstorming tournaments for any topic imaginable. So in the case of your listeners, it might be the scenario where you have a bunch of traders that are trying to figure out, hey, what's the best trading strategy or action or idea? And so they all can propose one to each other, and then the system will take that and create samples that each of the participants can then grade against each other. And within a very short period of time, you'd be able to basically divine the wisdom of the crowd and come up with the best trading strategy, which then you could all act together.
That's great. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but we want to expand it further. What sets Ideologi apart from other social media brainstorming platforms available today?
So the thought about social media today, which we call the tragedy of the comments, which is most of what is social media are posting sites, which is fine, even though there's some grading, we can do up votes, down votes. But what's really missing is a sort of interim layer where people can actually collaborate together. In the case of Ideologi, what that really means is a way of coordinating large-scale collaboration with brainstorming so that people can come together, collectively create decisions, and eventually something that we'll be announcing is including things like cryptocurrency and NFTs as rewards based on the score you get from other participants.
What are your plans for transitioning Ideologi into a decentralized organization, and how will this impact governance and moderation?
So our first plan is sort of to reach a solid post-beta release. The goal then would be to create a legal DAO. The thought right now is for us to incorporate probably an authority overseas, and in that scenario we would remove our control and it would be a full functional DAO. One of the neat things about the application is that you can actually have the participants collaborate on the platform itself to help make decisions for the DAO. The software itself is going to be made open source once we reach that point. And so basically we could have an online community of people not only making collective decisions for whatever projects they're using themselves, but we'd be able to allow the member participants of the DAO of Ideologi to run the platform itself.
Very cool. What are the advantages of making Ideologi software free and open source, and how do you envision the community contributing to its development?
Right. So the main benefit of open source, the same for Ideologi, is that there are a lot of users out there that would be more than happy to assist and volunteer if they were given the power to do so. There's no way for us to have enough programmers to iron out all the bugs or enough programmers to build all the features and functions that the community wants versus what we think they want. So by making it open source, we can basically allow the community to build the best version that they deem fit. And then we can sit back as custodians, at the very most, to help out in coordinating things in the community.
How do you see Ideologi contributing to solving global challenges and fostering innovative solutions for the future?
Right. So this is the core purpose of the creation of Ideologi. We're kind of in a Gordian knot of problems that are all interrelated. So if you picture what I describe as this collaboration platform, one day I would hope that you'd be able to go onto the website and look at this long list of all these issues, and any members could basically jump in, create a brainstorming session, and then put their idea in, and then we can basically help that good idea being vetted by all the users to rise to the top. So it could be any topic, the environment, the economy, anything imaginable could be run on the site.
That's amazing. How would you secure your idea?
So there's a couple things that we have that are going to be integrated into the application. One of them is the use of Creative Commons licenses. So if someone comes up with their great idea by participating in one of these brainstorming tournaments, we can basically hard code that so that suddenly we have a permanent record that it was you that was the one that submitted it. And then when we reach the point where we can create things like intellectual property, like patents, then we can use the community's crowdfunding to actually turn that patent into an actual piece of intellectual property. And any revenue that's generated from it could then be transferred to the originator of it.
Very exciting. That's very exciting.
Thank you.
Wow. My next set of questions are going to be a little bit more on the general side of things, but feel free to bring them back to, however you see fit.
Sure.
Can you share your perspective on the most significant developments in the blockchain space over the past year? You can go back a couple of years to the other one.
For the past year, I think one is technological and another one is cultural. For the technological one, which everyone's been watching, is the ETF approval for Bitcoin and now imminently for Ethereum, which just so that you understand how I got into the space. In 2014, I was actually lucky enough to be in the second Ethereum meetup group when they were talking about launching Ethereum. And I thought it was a pretty good idea. The idea that I have now, that is now Ideologi, I already had that in the general sense. And after seeing that, I realized, hey, this is going to be a really cool idea. And through all that time, from 2014 to now, I've been watching, how do the authorities and how do governments deal with this, what's legal and what's not. And now we've reached a point, which I feel like the first chapter of this is just ending, where now, Ethereum has gone from a 30-cent wish of a token launch all the way through to becoming a legally sanctioned commodity. I think the next phase of this is going to be larger companies now realizing that the cryptocurrency space is for real and that they should try to figure out ways of harnessing both the energy of the people inside of it and also the technology. Now, on the cultural side, the thing I've seen is that the DAO movement is now becoming much bigger, I would even say, than the technology itself. So all of these self-organizing communities online, we are just reaching a point now where people are beginning to hear this outside of the cryptocurrency space. When someone says, hey, I can create a community online and we can finance our own projects and build things that normally you would imagine a corporation doing. Now you could just have virtual friends and family online working together to build this. So that, to me, in the last year has been the biggest wow moment for me.
That's amazing. How do you see the role of traditional finance institutions evolving with the rise of decentralized finance and blockchain technologies?
That's an interesting one because I feel like most of Wall Street is still trying to wrap their mind around what they would call what is intrinsic value and what is just, I guess, for lack of a better term, what here is just hype and, artificial. I think they haven't wrapped their mind around the fact that if you have a strong enough community, that in itself becomes its own value proposition for an asset. So I have a feeling that they're going to be follow the leader for a while as the cryptocurrency financial movement has to feed to them ideas of how they should run their business typically.
What do you see as the biggest challenges facing the adoption of blockchain technology, and how can the industry overcome them?
I think the hardest one is for end users to understand the technology and how to use and manage their tokens and assets. It's a really tricky thing. And not to age myself, but when I started out in the tech industry, I actually grew up in Silicon Valley, and my second real job was actually as a telesales rep at Netscape. So I saw what it was like to get people to understand how to use the internet. But it's a little bit trickier when you're dealing with digital assets, money, passwords, hashes. Those are things that, we really have to work on making it easier for people to onboard into crypto.
How do you envision the future of Web3 and what impact do you think it will have on the internet as we know it?
I predict that within 5, maybe a little longer, I think it's going to be a leading force in the internet as the valuations of all the cryptocurrencies go up. Most people think, is this real or not, that are in crypto? They don't realize that there's a $2 trillion marketplace. We start reaching, $5 to $10 trillion in valuation. You're going to see a lot of people going, oh, now I get it. And they'll get it because it becomes a driver to itself. So I think that's really the thing I'd be looking at is as the asset value increases, you're going to see it more and more as a leading force. I think even, and this will sound really kind of counter, maybe bigger than AI.
That is a hot topic.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to new entrepreneurs entering the blockchain and crypto space?
Prepare to be humbled by not knowing a lot of it, because there's a lot of new technologies. So even someone who's been in the industry as I have, there's been a lot of relearning. I think that trying to understand the technology is important. Trying to understand the trends is even more. And it's not an unfortunate thing. It's just understanding. Anyone who's starting a business should know this. Try to learn the legal elements that you need to know to run it correctly.
This will conclude the interview. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you would like me to ask, or you just want to share? Feel free.
Well, I do invite all of your listeners to go to our website at Ideologi, IDEOLOGI.org. It is completely open now in the sense that you can create your own account. You can create your own brainstorming contest. Right now, we haven't turned on the token transfer process, but you can run them. It's sort of like running a game, but there's no money involved. But yeah, we'd really like to see what people are thinking. You can also reach out to me if you have ideas on how you would be able to use this app. And I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of people on our site.